Good.
Christopher Rivas here.
Adam Steele here.
Adam, what is a mentor?
A mentor is a lot of things. I define it as an educator, a role model, an ally, an advocate, a teacher, and a friend. But a lot of my mentors came from books, which is why I'm excited to have this conversation, because for many of us, some of our first teachers and most powerful experiences have come from literature and reading. So my goal with this endeavor is to get young people tapped into that knowledge.
We'll talk about the endeavor, but I really love the idea of a book as a mentor. You know, I think about reading Baldwin. I know exactly where I was. This is late for me in life. I'm in my first year of college. I'm living in some weird room. I'm renting in a house in Valencia, and I'm reading James Baldwin, and I'm also reading Eldridge Cleaver, Soul on Ice at the same time. And I love the idea of thinking that they are my mentors, that they are the people who sort of guided me. What is that Baldwin quote? The space in which I belong will not exist until I create it. You know, and that really stood with me. And maybe this is sort of me creating that space. How'd you find this book?
Well, I didn't even find the book. I was working at an art advocacy conference with Create California for 500 young.
Well, you were there?
I was there. I was filming the event, brother.
Stop. Did I know that? That's funny.
I filmed the event. So I heard you were the keynote.
Yeah.
So this is 500 young people from across California who love art and empowered by art. And this nonprofit is basically all about ensuring we have music and art in schools. So Christopher was there. I didn't know anything about you. You spoke and had 500 young people from all over the state captivated just from your narrative. And that's a difficult thing to have 500 people I think you spoke for over a half hour.
It's a difficult thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Difficult
and for me, my whole work at Grow Mentoring is really about bringing amazing people to the forefront, especially that can tap into young people and fit in areas that aren't my expertise. Because I can do certain things great, but sometimes bringing in a different person, different background, different expertise is what I try to do. So one of my big visions was to start a book club. So when I saw your book, I wanted to get in touch with you and see how we can collaborate and make it happen and start a new culture of reading in our young people.
I'm grateful and I'm honored, but there's a lot of good books. Why should 1,000 of my book be in youth's hands in Los Angeles?
Yeah. Well, just so everyone knows, it started with just a conversation of me saying, hey, can you come talk to a couple kids? I want to start a book club. Then it said, hey, how about 100 books? And we try to do that. Then it was 300, then 1,000. The goal is for tens of thousands. But I think there's a couple reasons why I gravitated to you, your story, and the book. One was hearing you speak to the kids, to connect with them, telling your narrative, and really getting vulnerable and empowering them to connect with their identity, who they were, and really pursue their dreams. The second was, once we talked, I was like, yeah, man, I'm not about just doing something cool and then bouncing, right? We talked about that. I'm all about consistent engagement, especially with young people. So I'm like, is there some way we can have conversations or create a curriculum? You're like, I've already created the curriculum, bro. Yeah. So the fact that an in-depth curriculum around the topics you are talking about in that book, the situation was perfect because it's basically not only we're just given the book, but the reflection, as you know, with a great teacher, mentor in a group is really where the magic happens in reading. So the fact that you wrote an amazing book, you're an amazing artist, creator, an inspiring person, and the curriculum, it was like the perfect package where we can literally start dropping into schools and tapping kids into reading, supporting teachers with curriculum. And we talked about this too. I want to talk to you about it. Teachers have to buy their own books. Tell me.
It's criminal. Like I know, specifically in Los Angeles, you know, we're one of these wealthy places with one of the worst school systems in America, in the country. And I think it's annually teachers spend $800 to $900 of their own money. All the time I'm getting, not just from teachers in LA, but friends who are now educators who are sending me their Amazon wish list. Like, hey, can you put this in my classroom this year? And I think that's just criminal. It shows that we don't value education. If we don't value education, well, I have a chapter in here that says, you know, I think we also want also-rans. And we don't want education for everybody. We want it for a specific set of people. And that is how this country has ran for a long time, to keep certain people running on a treadmill and certain people moving up some sort of socioeconomic ladder, capitalism. But we can go on. about that. But yeah, like I think the education system is flawed. It hasn't really changed since the 1920s, and it serves a very specific set of people. And so if I can come in and serve a community in any sort of way, which I feel honored that you were there, that the book resonates. Yeah, I would love one child in LA, 500, 1,000, 10,000 to know that they are enough as they are, to know that they belong, to know that they matter just as they are, and they have potential to be even more than what they can imagine.
I want to know, because we haven't even talked about this, in terms of the curriculum, what was your intention behind it? And what are some of the kind of deep questions and insight you hope to get from the young people when they engage in it?
Yeah, so aggressive term maybe shouldn't be used. No, I'll use a better term. I believe there's something called the death of the imagination. Like I believe that we are, if you can't imagine it, you can't conceive it. It can't happen. And we fill our time with so much of this idea of survival and having to make it that we can't imagine. And one of our biggest commodities as people who want to build and create an incredible life is we have to imagine that it's possible. And so the curriculum is really one of meeting oneself as you are, your fears, your worries. We ask what stories must, die so new ones can grow. And then one of imagination, like really strengthening our youth's imaginations to see themselves in new environments, to see themselves in loving environments, to see themselves as powerful creators of the life they want, the society they want. And I think we really need to imagine that. I think that's what this book is really about at the end of the day. It was like I was a kid who didn't feel like I was enough, like I belonged anywhere. And I had mentors and people and wisdom and teachers along the way who strengthened my imagination, which allowed me to meet myself, love myself, still loving myself, still meeting myself, so that I can create the world that I want to live in.
What has been the feedback from some of the young people who have read this book? I'm just curious in terms of how it's impacted, because you've sent me a couple. I mean, you say you get these messages all the time, right? Especially the one of that older, the young man who was learning to read and starting the library.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about some of those stories.
Yeah, a young man in Colorado, a teacher, a mentor, gave him my book. He was not a very good reader. He sort of learned to read in the process of reading this book, which felt really powerful. And then after, he realized there was no library in his school, and he thought that was criminal, like it doesn't serve anyone to not have knowledge accessible to us. And so he started a library, and he wanted my book. I'm actually going into Denver in March to launch this school library and give a bunch of my books away. So that's like one example, but there's a lot of examples of youth and adults alike thanking me for being able to verbalize things they have felt but not had the language to say out loud. We're all swimming in this water of enoughness, of needing to be seen. We're all playing the dance of what whiteness has done to us as a society. And sometimes it helps just to have the words. I think when I read Baldwin and Cleaver, they gave me the words in my spirit that I couldn't give articulation to. And I've been sort of riding the wave and the shield of those words forever.
So one of the things we talked about too is not just dropping in. We see this happen a lot, whether it's a donation or a cause, but going back to consistency and
hell yeah. I'll cut you off.
Yeah.
I used to do a lot of work for the embassy. And I would do these hip hop theater camps, and I would go to a place and I would do hip hop theater, and it would like these sort of impoverished or youth. They would give them the best 2 weeks of their life, and then they'd like give them faces of Obama, like Obama stickers and like You America DVD, and then they'd be like peace. And it irked me. It irked me because where was the follow up? And this has follow up. What you're proposing has follow up. Like I want to be in conversation with y'all. I want to be there when you're reading the book, when you're challenged by the questions that we're asking you of the curriculum. I want to be there when you're inspired. I want to be there to hear your big ideas, sort of how you're going to create that life. So that to me is the follow up. I believe it has sustainability. And then after the curriculum, we have the Enough workbook, which is like after Brown, let's claim our brownness and our identities. It's really just about enoughness. Like every human being in this world wants to know they are enough as they are. We've talked a lot about how beautiful mentorship is, why books, why this book, how we met. What are you asking for people? You're asking them to donate money. Why?
The reality is we came through out of 2 years of a pandemic, right? I'm always talking about this and really like highlighting this is we had 2 years to meditate on how we want to transform a society, right? We knew education is a priority for the success of young people in a country, but we came back and nothing has changed in our education system. No more books, no more teachers, no more counselors. There's a couple more grant dollars, but for the most part, it's the same system. So I don't want to wait anymore for that. So I want to galvanize the community and the people I know and powerful people like yourself to bring education, curriculum, and books to the kids who need it and deserve it. So we're not waiting any longer. And the goal for this is to say we're going to step up and do it ourselves and give all the kids in the communities who continue to be underserved access to the tools to make sure they have imagination, to make sure they can achieve their dreams and have the support and resources to make sure it can happen.
And if you could say it even quicker in one sentence, like, I need your cash. I need your cash so that I can do this and this.
Yep. Yeah, well, basically, we need America's money to educate America's kids. The systems we've been relying on aren't doing it. That's the vision. It's not to wait any longer. Our kids have been waiting long enough, so we're going to step up and do it.
I'm grateful that the universe connected us how it did, and it put us at Create California together. Thank you to them. And I'm thankful that this book resonated with you and that you want to share it with the youth of Los Angeles. And let's make some beautiful magic happen. Thank you.
Yeah, brother.